Okay, we are now on question 47 of the Algebra 1 Spring Exam Review. So 47, x squared plus 10x plus 25. We need to factor this expression completely. So let's go ahead and start with our two sets of parentheses. I'm going to split this x squared into x and x. All right, and then I have my 25 here. So I'm going to get my factors of 25. I have 1 times 25, 2 will not work, 3 will not work, 4 will not work. Remember, if you're not sure how to do that in your head, let me remind you with the calculator. All I'm doing mentally is just 25 divided by 1. It's 25. So I get 1 times 25. Then 25 divided by 2. It doesn't give me a good number. It's a fraction. So then I do 25 divided by 3. Again, a fraction. 25 divided by 4, a fraction. 25 divided by 5, I get 5. That tells me that 5 times 5 gives me 25. If I did 6, I'd get a fraction, 7, 8, so on. But really, once you get a repeated number, you know that you're done. Okay? So these are my only factors of 25. I look at the second sign in my expression. It's positive. That tells me these are either both positives or both negatives, because I have to multiply these two numbers to get that positive 25. The only way to do that is either multiplying two positive numbers or two negative numbers. Since this guy is also positive, I know that everything in my answer is going to be positive. Okay? A positive 5 here and a positive 5 here will multiply and give me positive 25. When I do my bracket check, a 5x here and a 5x here add together to give me the 10x in the middle. So this is my answer. And like I did on the last video, you can check your answer, or you can even just use your answer choices to help you get the right answer, even if you have trouble with this. Let me remind you, I put this in the calculator, put the original problem, x squared plus 10x plus 25. Now, this is not written as an equation, but I can put it as an equation and get a graph of a parabola. The correct answer I can graph, and I will get the same parabola. If I don't get the same parabola, you could go through your answer choices, A, B, C, and D, graph every one of them, compare it to the original. The one that's the right answer is going to be the same parabola. Let me show you. X plus 5, and then x plus 5 again. When you graph it, the exact same parabola. So use that as a tip to help you on the final. Okay, number 48, x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, I write my parentheses. I'm going to split my x here and here. My factors of 9, 1 times 9, 2 is not going to work. 3 does work. Okay, I have a repeated number. I know that I'm pretty much done, right? 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6, 7, 8, 9 I already have. So there we go. I know it's all positive for the same reasons as the last one. I can put my 3 here and 3 here. I get 3 times 3 is 9. When I do my bracket check, 3x and 3x add together to give me 6x. Let's take a look at 49. Now this one looks a little different. We have x squared minus 21. Looks like there's something missing, because there is. The middle term disappeared. The only way the middle term disappears is if you have two terms that are the same, but they cancel out. Like if I had like 5x and minus 5x, they go away to 0. That's what happened to my middle x term. Okay, I still do my parentheses. Okay. So what you're looking for when it's that, you're looking for two of the same number again. Just like previously we had 5 and 5, we had 3 and 3. Well, you're looking for the same number, except this time one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So you can basically just find out what times itself gives me the square root of 21. Well, there's a few ways to do it in the calculator, but the way that is most consistent with what I showed you on the last video is the factoring button. Okay, I want to remind you, you go to number, and choice 3 is factor, and I'm going to factor 121. It's 11 squared. 11 times 11, right? So 11 times 11 gives me 121. One of those 11s has to be positive and one negative to get the negative 121. The other result is, when I do my brackets, I get a positive 11x, and here I get a negative 11x. They cancel out to 0. That's why the middle term disappears. So this is the answer. And again, if I graph this and I graph this, I'm going to have the same parabola. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 50. The area of a rectangular door is given by x squared minus 14x plus 45 square feet. The door's width is x minus 9 feet. What is the door's length? I'm going to close my blinds here because it's hard for me to see. I want to make sure everything on the iPad is you can see okay, but I'm having trouble seeing the calculator. Okay, so with the glare, I think this will be better. So let me zoom that in so you can see it. Sorry about that. The area of a rectangular box is given by x squared minus 14x plus 45 square feet. The door's width is x minus 9 feet. What is the door's length? Okay, so we have a rectangle, right? So you're going to draw a rectangle. Let's go ahead and start there. They give us the width. The width is x minus 9, whatever that means, right? They want to know the length. We don't know the length. So here's the thing. We know the area. The area is x squared minus 14x plus 45. That's all the inside area. How do you find the area of a rectangle? That's what you have to remember. Area of a rectangle is just length times width. So this times something gives us this. That's all there is to it. It's almost like saying this times something gives us this. Well, just look at the last term alone. Negative 9 times what is going to give me positive 45. What's 45 divided by 9? I mean, a lot of you already know just by your multiplication rules, but if you don't, it's 5, right? But it's not just any 5. We have to get a negative to multiply by something to give me a positive answer. It's got to be a negative 5. A negative times a negative is a positive, okay? Let's put the x there. Let's do the bracket check and make sure. We know this times this is positive 45. Negative 9x I get out of these two. When I combine these, I get negative 5x. Look, when I add the middle terms, negative 9 and negative 5 add to give me negative 14. That works. So that tells me this is the length of that door, x minus 5. Now again, on a multiple choice thing, you could type in what they give you and multiply it by the answer choice you think is right, graph it. Like type this and this together in the graph screen and see if the graph matches that. If it doesn't, then you know it's wrong. Okay? Let's go ahead and check out number 51. 51 and 52 and 53 say factor each expression completely. So it's more of the same, but now we have another term in front. These are a little more challenging, okay? We have a few more moving parts here. So we've got to keep that in mind as we factor these guys. So we'll go through a couple of these. Now notice there's not very many on here because there's not going to be a lot of this on the test. I'll tell you right now. These are harder. You're going to see a lot more in Algebra 2, but there's not a lot of them on this one, okay? So let's go ahead and make our parentheses. We have to get the factors of 15. Now here's the difference, and actually, to be honest with you, this is still not too hard because what are the factors of 2? Just 1 times 2. So you're either going to have a 1x here and a 2x here, or vice versa. You're going to have a 2x here and a 1x here, right? So this is still pretty nice. There's not a lot of factors of this one. When this number gets bigger, then it gets a little more challenging because you have factors here and factors here. Okay, what are my factors of 15? 1 times 15, 2 doesn't work, 3 does with 5, 4 doesn't work, 5 works with 3, but we already have that. That tells us we have all the factors of 15. Okay? So if I put 1 here and 2 here, where do I can either use 15 and 1, or I can use 3 and 5. This is almost like the dating game. You're asking yourself, which of these numbers is going to date the 2 and his buddy date the 1? And they all work out to where you get 15 here, but you also get positive 13 here. Like, for example, if I put a 15 here, that's going to be 15 times 2. That's 30. And there's no negatives in here. I'm not subtracting. There's no way I can go from 30 down to 13 to get my middle term, right? If I put 15 over here, I get 15 times 1 is 15, and I'm going to have 2 times 1 is 2 here. That gives me 17. There's no way I can get down to 13. That's telling me that 15 is probably not going to work. So it tells me we're dealing with 3 and 5. Okay? So is there a way to get from 3 and 5 using these numbers to get up to 13? There is, because 5 times 2 gives me 10, right? 3 times 1 gives me 3. And 10 plus 3 is 13, okay? 5 times 2x is 10x. 1x times 3 is 3x. You have 13x, okay? And 5 times 3 is 15. So I know it's a lot of moving parts, and you know, I'm having to go fast because we have so much of the review to go over, but that is how you do it. Once again, multiple choice test, graph this in the calculator, graph the original. If they match, it's right. Okay, keep that in mind. Number 52, 2x squared minus x minus 15. Okay, make our parentheses. Again, we have the factors of 15. We already had those. We know they are 1 and 15, and we're 3 and 5. That's all we had. But then over here we have 1 and 2, right? But now we have to get down to 1 here. So everything has to subtract, okay? Since I only have one option here, I'm going to go ahead and drop these in, 1x and 2x. But how do I get a subtraction thing going on? The only way to get a second term that's minus is if you have a positive somewhere and a negative somewhere. But we don't know where the positive is going to be and the negative is going to be. So we just have to do some guess and check. I'm just going to say, well, what if they're here? What happens then? If I'm wrong, I'll change it. Okay, so for now, I know that if I put, well, let's just drop numbers in and see. Sometimes that's the best way. So let's see if I put a 5 here and a 3 here. Okay, 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 1 is 3, and 10 minus 3 is 7. It's not going to give me the right number, right? So maybe I'll switch them. Put the 3 here and the 5 here. Okay. 5 times 1 is negative. You got a negative 5 going on. 3 times 2 is positive 6. Okay. A negative 5 and a positive 6 gives me 1. We're close, but we're not there yet because this gives me positive 1. I need negative 1. Okay, so what if we switch my signs? Okay. I still get negative 15. Here I have negative 3 and positive 2 gives me negative 6. 1 and 5 gives me positive 5. That combines to give me negative 1. So this is my magic combination. I'm going to rewrite it. 1x, or x, minus 3, and 2x plus 5. I multiply them to get negative 15 on the end. I combine them to get negative 1 in the middle. Negative x, actually, negative 1x. There you go. So that's the answer to that one. Okay, we will do more on the next video.